Hey guys, it's Katie, and today I wanted this to be a more comfy, relaxed video. I'm going to be talking about my journey with my jobs. It's been quite a wild one. I have had quite a few jobs since I turned 16. I was applying for jobs before I was even 16. Like, I think it was a week before my 16th birthday and I was like, I need a job. I went and applied to a tons of jobs on Craigslist, a tons of jobs on Indeed and things like that. When I was 16, there wasn't really a lot of the Indeed stuff or like the Snag a Job or like those types of things. I think there's like Job Monster. I don't know. But my experience with jobs has been good. It's been bad, good. Yeah, well, let's get into it. This is my boyfriend's hoodie. So it's like super wrinkled because if his clothes gets taken care of, it's because of me. Nonetheless, it is super comfy, and I think this is like another YouTuber, Adam LZ or something like that. I bought this for him a couple months back, but it's super soft on the inside and super like baggy and comfy. So I love it. My first job was actually in a restaurant inside of a retirement home. I started this job when I was 16. I applied for it a couple weeks before my 16th birthday. I honestly had forgotten that I applied to this job. And then I had gotten an email asking me to come in and fill out a formal application, because prior I had just sent them my resume through an email, I guess. So I went in and I applied, and I met the manager of the kitchen at that time, and the interview went great, especially because it was my first interview. I was so nervous. I didn't know what to expect. I still had braces on, or I think I might have just got my braces off as well. No. Yes. So then after that interview and everything, I went home and I didn't hear anything. My birthday went by. The 2 days after my birthday, I decided to give them a call because it seemed like the interview had gone great and I hadn't heard anything back. So I was like, why not? I'm gonna give them a call. That's what you're supposed to do anyways, to follow up on interviews and things like that. So I gave them a call and they told me, they said, oh, I thought we had called you sooner. Yes, we do want to hire you. And that is when I started working in a restaurant in a retirement home serving the elderly. This job was an amazing first job because it teaches you timeliness, it teaches you customer service. It's really nice connecting with all of the elderly folk that do live in the residence. So you learn a lot of valuable lessons and you get to hear a lot of amazing stories that you never would have heard of prior if you didn't work there. And it isn't as bustling as a fast food industry, so you really do get to make the connections while getting a good education and learning skills to develop for the rest of your life, which I think that if I didn't have this for a first-time job, my skills would not have been as valuable as they could have been today. So I'm really thankful for my first job. So I worked at the retirement for a little over a year until I got my new job at Round Table Pizza. It was a year and I wanted a little bit different of a scenery, more skills. So I had applied for a Round Table and got the job. I was still working at least once a month at the retirement home when I first got the job at Round Table, and I did this for about 2 months until I decided to fully quit the retirement home. And honestly, it might not have been the best decision because although I did have some awesome coworkers that I got to work with, I learned more of how to handle food and create pizzas and a little bit of the fast-paced environment while not doing a little bit less of the serving side. And developing my customer service skills, because these people weren't people that I did see every single day. They were people that I had to give good service to. That wasn't on a 3 times a day, weekly basis. So, but the manager that did hire me was an amazing person, and I loved her. We got along really well. And then, and a week after working at Round Table, she quit and she got a better job. And I was happy for her, but I had no idea what was about to come next. So then we got this assistant manager person thing who wasn't our full manager, but she was there to kind of look over things. She knew a lot about the industry and about Round Table and had worked at other Round Tables previously. So, and she was awesome. We got along really well together. She taught me a lot of things, how to use the POS system and all those things. And she trained me really well. But then it came around to we needed another manager, because our full-on manager had quit prior, a week after I started working there. So they hired this person who usually does float jobs, and they hired her onto our store as temporary, not full-time. And everybody had something bad to say about this person. And knowing me, I was like, oh, this person, you know what, it sounds great. We're gonna meet her, it's going to be awesome. You guys, like, don't even stress about this, we got this, okay? Well, that was not the case. She came on, and the first time I met her, super nice, like, hey, how are you? Like, I'm super glad to be working with you. If there's anything that I can do, let me know. If there's anything I can improve on, teach me. So the first time was great. I was a little bit skeptical because she was a little bit snooty, but I was like, you know, some people are just like that, you know? But then a week into working, things got a little bit weirder. She would glare at you all the time, and she wouldn't talk to you. She would just stare at you, or when she did talk to you, it was yelling, and she would yell at you in front of customers for things that you couldn't control, or just stupid things like that. And it got to the point where the assistant manager who was on board first, it got to the point where she quit. She just walked out halfway through her shift, and she never came back because she didn't like this person. And that day I was like, I might be screwed. Instead, I just thought positively about it, and I was like, well, what can I do to improve, make her feel more comfortable, because maybe that was the issue. So I continued to be the kindest person that I could be. I continued to learn every day about my job, and do fairly well at that. Working, I think it was about 4 or 5 months in working for Round Table. After Round Table had done some stupid things, like they got rid of the towels that we used to grab hot food, so now there isn't really a way for us to grab the plates to bring them to the tables, because when that pizza came out of the oven and they put it on that tray was like 100 degrees, and you did not want to touch it. Trust me, you did not want to touch it. So I ended up taking some of the towels. I didn't throw them away. I just kept them in my apron so that I could pull the food and run it to tables without scorching my hand off. So that was a little weird with Round Table side. But then one day I was talking to a customer, taking the order, and they had told me that they did not want to upsize. So I wasn't about to, at the end of our conversation, be like, oh, would you like a larger pizza? It's only going to be this much more, blah, 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 blah. No, there's a little door next to it, and she's like, and I can hear her, she's not talking loud, but she's saying, upsize the pizza, upsize the pizza. And I ignored her because I had already talked to the customer and they had told me specifically that they did not want to upsize before I had even asked. At the end of the conversation, I was about to take the payment. She came up and she pushed me to the side and asked them, would you like to size up on your pizza? And the husband, because it was a family, it was a husband, a wife, and a child. The husband looks at his wife, he looks at the manager, and was just like, no. Like, He had already told me that he didn't want to, and then this woman comes up and pushes me to ask if he does. Like, that's just I was so irritated, and I was like, how could someone do that? That's not okay. She pushed me, and then she yelled at me afterwards, of course, because I didn't listen to her. But I was like, you obviously made the customer mad and you pushed me in front of them. That does not look good on the company or for this establishment that we were running. So of course that was the end of the conversation. And I think 2 weeks after that, I was moving out to Richfield, and that's about 27 miles away from here. So I wanted to switch to a location closer to where I'd be living. And she was all smiles and giggles about that because she did not like me at all and wanted me gone. So she agreed with it. I talked with the people in Hazeldale and they agreed with it. And then I had my schedule out for 3 more weeks. But the next day I came into work and my schedule was completely empty because she told me that I'd be going to work in Hazeldale. So I was like, well, I don't have a schedule for this other location. And she said, well, you'll just have to call them. So I called them and they told me that they didn't have me on the schedule for another month or 2 and they would have to put me on call. So she took me off this schedule knowing that I did not have a job to go to. And I had bills to pay. I could not do that. So there was another pizza establishment that was super, super close to where I was living. So I applied there and got the job, of course, with a little bit more than I was making at the other place because of the resume that I had built up. And then at this place, I loved working with all the people. The manager was super cool. I ended up, in about a month of working there, because I was doing such a good job, I ended up getting a promotion. But of course, you know, that always started drama too, because there was people there that were working longer than me, but they weren't getting promotions. I could have gotten more of a promotion, but at the time I was only 17. I wasn't 18 yet, and I think that in order to open by yourself or to close by yourself or something like that, you did have to be 21 because there was alcohol. So that wasn't really a possibility. And then about 3 or 4 months down the line, somewhere down the line, something really bad with our manager and the police and all this stuff and the owner of the company happened, which I can't talk about. It was definitely the craziest thing that I have ever been through. But then we got new management and it kind of went back to that situation where everything was two-faced. She acted like she liked me and didn't, and I didn't want to go through that again, so I applied for another job. I had applied to TJ Maxx and an auto parts store. I was given an offer for both of those jobs. The auto parts store did offer me more money, so I did take that job, although I would have loved to work at TJ Maxx because I love fashion and clothing, but I decided to go with the more paying job because I had just graduated high school and I needed the money for college. And the schedule also looked really good at the auto parts store. So I started working there on Halloween, actually. And I met amazing people that I'm still really good friends with to this day and have developed really valuable friendships. And although I hated the experience of working there, I definitely loved working with those women because they were very empowering, loving, and I couldn't ask for it in any better experience of working with those people. But at this job, I did experience a lot of sexual harassment that I couldn't do anything about because the person that did sexually harass me was best friends with the owner of the company. So in the end, it really was just a work restraining order. Don't go closer to this person. You can't go close to this person. But I know that the second I even opened my mouth about what had happened to me, that I just looked like a complete worthless item to them. Like, they didn't even care about the sexual harassment, and they didn't really do much to help it. And I could hear the person that had sexually harassed me and the owner of the company giggling to each other about it. And because in the back of the store was a warehouse, and if you could hear things that people didn't know you were hearing because you were behind a shelf of boxes, I don't know. So that was super rough feeling that way, and I don't think that any of you should ever feel that way. So if you're in that situation, you need to do something about it. It actually got to the point where is it LNI? It actually got to the point where the labor industries had been contacted, and we had let them know everything that was going on, especially because it wasn't just me that had been sexually harassed. I liked the experience of my first job of working at the retirement home, so maybe I'll do something to better my career as a nurse. So I started working for a healthcare aid program where you go to people's homes and you care for them, kind of like a CNA, but outside of a retirement housing area thing. Yeah, so I started doing that in training, and I also got to meet a lot of more people and hear lovely stories, go on car rides to grocery stores to help shop for people, and I met amazing people and learned a lot of amazing things again. But then after 6 months of working there, I noticed that they hadn't been paying me for my miles, and there was a couple hours, like 30 hours missing off of a paycheck that I was supposed to get. So I was very frustrated with that, and at that point I was like, I don't think this is what I want to do. And after figuring out that really wasn't what I wanted to do, I started looking into the other options of being a teller, of working in marketing, and all of these things. And then my good friend that had worked with me at the auto parts store had gotten his job in Portland in an office doing marketing and working with realtors and postcards and things like that. So I was like, why not give it a try? They were looking for people to work for them, and I applied and got that job. And that is where I have been ever since. At the moment, we are working from home still during this pandemic, especially because there's been a spike in cases here in Washington and Oregon over the last few weeks, so we definitely want to take all the precautions to stay safe. So that is where I'm at currently. During my working experience with this company, I have realized that I do want to be my own boss and I want to start my own business. So I did some things to start my business, Hate Less, Love More, which I'm still working on, as you may know. I've also been working on my Instagram and branding myself, and especially creating my YouTube channel. That has been something that I'm working on so that I can be my own boss. That way I can control my time, I can go on vacation if I want to, I can talk, and I can meet a lot of amazing people, and that's something that I would really love to do, especially connecting with you guys has been an awesome experience. It may not be much, but to me it really means the world, so thank you. I guess that's been this kind of weird talking about my job video. Well, that's it for the video today. I do appreciate all your guys' time. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope you're all having a great day.